Carlson back to Neal on the give and go. Loose puck down low. Marsh is still put it towards the net. And Neal scores! James Neal on the backhand. His 11th of the season. And the Golden Knights have the lead.
The puck drops at 8 Eastern. Now at home or on the go. Never miss a game live on TuneIn Premium. That's your TuneIn NHL update.
What just went down with Lakers basketball? We get you closer to all you need to know right now. This is the Lakers Locker Room Report.
The ESPN LA Lakers Radio Network.
Highlights, stats, key moments in the game.
Great game tonight at Staples Center. A tough loss for the Lakers, who lose to the Warriors 127-123 in overtime. And it was a coming out party for Brandon Ingram tonight, wasn't it, Andy?
This was as good as Brandon Ingram has looked in a season where he keeps looking better. You know, I mean, with each few passing games, you look at Ingram and you go, wow, you're seeing it incrementally, 3% better, 5% better. This was one of those games. If I may quote C.J. McCollum, who took to Twitter, Ingram's going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's a really great tweet from the Blazer guard. He said it about 15 minutes ago, obviously getting a chance to see how the game ended. And Brandon Ingram not just had a career-high 32 points, which is a fantastic achievement in and of itself, but he also had 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals to go along with a pair of blocks. He made both of his 3-point attempts. He was 6 of 7 from the foul line and shot 12 of 21 from the field. It was a complete performance.
Plus, too, and this is not going to come up in the stat line, and you're not going to recognize it just from looking at a box score. He was often matched one-on-one against Kevin Durant and did a really good job against Durant. Yeah, I know Durant had 30 points. He was 50% or so almost 50% from the field, but he made Durant work.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a lot of shots that Kevin Durant made because he's Kevin Durant, but you put just about anybody else up against that defense Ingram was playing, and that guy's not going to have 30 points.
No, he had an absolutely fantastic night tonight. And Kentavious Caldwell-Pope had another nice game as well, 21 points for him. 7 of 18 from the floor, not exactly shooting for a high percentage, but he's one of those guys that when he gets going, he gets a hot hand, he can keep you in a game for a while.
Yeah, I mean, he can get a little wild at times. You know, there are always a few possessions each game with KCP where you're just like, that's a little out of control.
Uh-huh.
But then there are other times where that energy translates into really good things for this team.
Lonzo Ball with a nice game tonight as well, a double-double, 15 points to go along with 10 assists. Only a couple of rebounds for Lonzo, well underneath his average of over 7 rebounds per game. And I thought that there was a stretch of about 5 or 6 minutes in the third quarter that was the best 5 or 6 minute stretch we've seen from Lonzo this season.
Yeah, he had 11 points, 4 of 6 from the field, 3 of 5 from behind the arc, and 2 assists. And he just looked more calm and relaxed. Like, I actually tweeted out during the game at Cam Brothers, like, Lonzo's scoring, I don't think is ever going to define him as a player, but just a few more showings like this, I think could go a long way towards relaxing everybody, including Lonzo.
He had a nice finish at the rim with Steph Curry guarding him as well, where he just crossed him over, went right to the bucket, and was able to finish right there. Lonzo with 15 and 10 tonight. We're just getting started. 127-123 is the final score. The Lakers go down in overtime to the Warriors. We're back with more in the Lakers locker room on the ESPN LA Lakers Radio Network.
Amobi Okoye went from an NFLer in the prime of his career to a man clinging to life. Join me, Jen Latta, on the SC Featured podcast, available now on Apple Podcasts and the ESPN app.
Guys, the JCPenney Holiday Challenge is here. Get everything you need for less than you think. Get her something she's really gonna love, like diamond studs or pendant, each just $25. Starting Thursday, save up to 60% on select fine jewelry. Plus, get an extra 40% off sale prices with your JCPenney credit card. Or take an extra 30% off any way you pay. Surprise her this holiday with the perfect gift. Hurry in, end soon. JCPenney. Offers represent savings on regular original prices. While supplies last. Credit offers subject to credit approval. Some exclusions apply. See store jcp.com for details.
The Pac-12 Championship, number 12 Stanford, 10th ranked USC. Coverage begins Friday at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and at 8 on ESPN. Presented by the 2018 Ford F-150.
Catch all new episodes of some of your favorite podcasts early with TuneIn First Play. With more than 30 First Play podcasts on TuneIn, you can listen to new episodes from some of your favorite shows before they're available anywhere else.
Hey there, it's Mike Rowe. This is The Way I Heard It, the only podcast for the curious mind with a short attention span. We're at episode number 83, incredibly.
I'm Jack Hitt.
And I'm Chinjirai Kumanyika.
This is Uncivil,
where we ransack America's history
and discover that the past is never really past.
From the American Museum of Natural History in New York City, and beaming out across all of space and time, this is Star Talk, where science and pop culture collide.
Search First Play Podcasts and listen early, listen often, and listen today.
Everything from tonight's Lakers game.
The Lakers Locker Room Report.
On the ESPN LA Lakers Radio Network.
127 to 103, or excuse me, 127 to 123 is the final score. In overtime, the Warriors beat the Lakers. The Warriors improved to 16-6. The Lakers fall to 8-13. And I really don't even like asking this question because this is professional sports. Everybody makes a lot of money, and even in college, I don't really believe in these things, but a little bit of a moral victory for the Lakers tonight?
No, it's not a moral victory. I mean, they're pros, they're big boys. They lost. But it's a game that you can look at and maybe build on.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a loss. If you want to treat them like professionals,
right,
you got to give them the actual loss. But this is the type of game. I remember you and me and Brian will be joining us later. In the show, we were talking about how they've had over the last few weeks a lack of focus against sub-500 teams. No, this was a reminder tonight that when they play towards the top of their game, they may not win, but they're capable of staying with anybody in the league.
It's human nature, and the Lakers and all the guys in the NBA are human beings. So I get it. That being said, I think one of the things that was frustrating about watching tonight is this team, like you just said, that team should not be in a game where the Sacramento Kings put it on them. They should not lose to a Clipper team that we saw the other night. That just this team, when they play with that amount of energy and that amount of passion, is not a great team, but they're certainly not a bad team. I'd like to see that team more often.
Well, I mean, the good news is you're probably going to see that a lot in December because their schedule's really hard.
Yeah.
They have a really hard schedule throughout December. I mean, there are very few games that, forget the Lakers being favored, you'd look at and predict going into it that they're going to win.
No, it gets tough. I mean, they got the Nuggets coming up in Denver on Saturday, and then they turn around on a back-to-back. They got the Rockets back here in L.A., and tonight's game against the Warriors is the first of 3 games that they're going to play against Golden State before the end of the year.
Yeah, then they got a 4-game road trip at Philly, at Charlotte, where the Hornets play well. Mm-hmm. They are good at home. Then at the Knicks, another team that not necessarily that great, but they're good at home. Then they go to Cleveland. Then they come back to L.A., Golden State again. Then Houston again on the road, Golden State again on the road. Then they host Portland, and then Christmas comes along. Oh, by the way, your present's the Timberwolves.
Yeah, they're going to have their hands full for the month of December for sure. I thought you tweeted a minute ago, and I thought it was a good point, that Brandon Ingram tonight went toe-to-toe with Kevin Durant, and he's not as good as Kevin Durant, but you're like, oh, okay, the gap got smaller tonight. You were able to see what Brandon Ingram is becoming. C.J. McCollum said he's going to be a problem moving forward. Everybody needs to keep this in mind when you start thinking about Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, because, remember, last year there was a lot of hand-wringing about Brandon Ingram, whether you're talking about locally with the fan base and with our media at this station or nationally. Ingram's numbers did not jump off the page. But you and I, we watched quite literally every play of Brandon Ingram's rookie career. Mm-hmm. We'd watch him and go, okay, you have to see it. You can't look at the stats. You have to watch him play. You can see the potential. You can see what's there. And clearly, he's moving in a direction where you know he's going to be a good player. I think he's going to be in the conversation for most improved player this year.
And the physicality is coming along
Yes.
as well. He's much more comfortable with the contact in the NBA. 127 to 123. Lakers lose to the Warriors in overtime. We're back with more on the Lakers locker room on the ESPN LA Lakers radio network.
Hi, I'm Holden Kushner with your tune-in sports update. In the NBA, 5 games in action tonight, including the Boston Celtics hosting the Philadelphia 76ers.
Right-hand drive, TJ in traffic, hangs, fires, pretty good. TJ McConnell puts it in. He's got a knack plate for doing exactly that. And a fadeaway 10-footer puts the Sixers in the lead.
Tip-off at the Garden at 7:30 Eastern. Meanwhile, on the ice, 6 NHL games, including the Washington Capitals hosting the LA Kings.
Iafallo stays with the play, gets to the puck. Well done by the rookie. Brown centering, they score! It's the captain, Andrzej Kopitar, and the Kings have a 5-4 lead.
Hear the puck drop live at 7 Eastern only on TuneIn Premium. That's your TuneIn Sports Update.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones. Now look, man, I don't care how you feel about Trump, right? Like, I do not care how you feel about Donald Trump at all. Don't care who you voted for, nothing along those lines. But I am pretty sure that if I thought there was a chance that I might get sent to the Chinese jail, whoever you tell me helped, I'm going to say thank you. Like, Donald Trump, if it was me, Donald Trump would not need to send no tweet to make sure that he got a thank you from me. I'm thanking him, Pence, I'm thanking Dan Quayle, I'm thanking whoever it is I could possibly come up in this situation. I'm thanking Richard Nixon for that trip he took to China in the 1970s to open up the relations. Whoever it's got to be. Jeff Sessions, thank you. Well, any name that you got, man, throw them all out here. I will thank them all. Like, once we got back on the plane, whatever it was y'all needed me to do, I could do. Can't hear all 3 hours of The Right Time? Check them out anytime, on demand, on the ESPN app.
In a scary movie, the last place you want to be is on a long, desolate road, at a campground near a lake, or a log cabin deep in the woods. But in a RAV4 Adventure Grade, there's no place you won't want to explore. With available dynamic torque control all-wheel drive, 18-inch 5-spoke black alloy wheels, and a 120-volt power outlet in the cargo area, you'll be ready for just about any adventure. So confidently go places you haven't gone before in the Toyota RAV4 Adventure Grade. Toyota. Let's go places.
A Lakers locker room report.
Lakers basketball is the final.
Recapping everything from tonight's Lakers game on the ESPN LA Lakers radio network.
127 to 123. That is your final score from Staples Center, where the Warriors beat the Lakers in overtime. And we spent a lot of time, rightfully so, talking about Brandon Ingram, who was absolutely fantastic tonight. Julius Randle was pretty darn good tonight as well. 20 points. He had 4 rebounds, a couple of assists, and great energy from him. 9 to 13 from the floor. And he had a couple of defensive series that were absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, happy 23rd birthday, by the way, too. It was a very, I guess Kyle Kuzma gave him a bit of a gift by not playing tonight.
Yeah,
he was
I
out
guess
with
so.
back spasms, which obviously gave Randall more of an opportunity to play. And look, we've been saying this all season. The guy has made the most of the minutes he's getting. They're definitely not as many as he wants, although they've been increasing the last couple weeks, and we've actually seen Brook Lopez.
They had to.
Yeah.
They had to play him. He was playing too well to not continue to leave him out there.
He was playing too well, and also, to be honest, I think Lopez, his production has been tailing off to where it starts getting easier to give those minutes to Randall because, A, like you said, Randall deserves them, and B, who you keep him off the floor for.
Yeah, and especially with Kyle Kuzma out. He did not play tonight. He tweaked his back during pregame. He was having some back spasms, so they decided to keep him out. Larry Nance, obviously in the starting lineup for the second game since returning from his hand injury, did not get on the score sheet as far as the points goes. 5 assists, did have 4 steals and 4 rebounds and a block along the way, but surprising to not see him get any points at all.
Yeah, well, he only took 2 shots, and, that's always the biggest issue with Nance. Is you want him to at least be accounted for offensively. And actually, he's been shooting, I want to say like 60% or so from the field or something close to that pre-injury. And he actually had some really good offensive advanced metrics. So it's not like he had been dragging down the offense, but he needs to be accounted for, and tonight was one of those nights where he wasn't.
Lakers did that thing that they hung around with a team that was better than they were for a long time. They get it in overtime, but what felt inevitable finally happened in overtime, and that was Steph Curry found his shot and started looking like Steph Curry all over again. If you would have said at the end of 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, how did Steph Curry play tonight? You said, no, he was pretty lousy. He finished with 28 points, made 9 of 20 shots, and 7 of 8 from the foul line. He won the game for them in overtime.
Yeah, it seemed like that hand injury, had his right hand wrapped, and there have been some questions about whether or not he'd be available tonight. It seemed like it bothered him for a lot of the night, and then finally, because he is a great player and great players figure out how to do this, he managed to make it work. And once Curry makes it work, you're kind of done.
67 points between Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Klay. 77 points between those two players tonight. So you get that kind of production from 3 different players in your offense, and not a real easy team to beat. And that's why they're 16-6. We invite you to stay with us for more post-game coverage on our flagship station, ESPN LA 710. This has been the Lakers Locker Room on the ESPN LA Lakers Radio Network.
You've been listening to the Lakers Locker Room Report.
Brought to you by
Universal Studios Hollywood.
Spend Christmas at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, November 24th through January 7th, only at Universal Studios Hollywood.
Catch the Lakers Locker Room Report recapping what went down after every Lakers game on the ESPN LA Lakers Radio Network.
Are you at home, but you kind of wish you weren't? And you should really stick around the house because of reasons?
Timmy, no baseball in the house!
That's why Buffalo Wild Wings has a new online ordering experience. So when your kid brings home a stray dog, that's actually a coyote, a rabid one. For whatever reason, life requires you to stay put. Get takeout with our new online ordering experience and be where you have to be. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. Availability may vary.
Hi, I'm Holden Kushner with your tune-in NHL update. On the ice, 6 games in the NHL, including the Washington Capitals hosting the Los Angeles Kings.
Kevin Waugh, the rookie out of Northeastern University. Waugh swiveling out wide to start. Deliberate pace. Waugh denied by Quick, and the Kings win it in a shootout.
The puck drops at 7 Eastern. Also, the Golden Knights face off against the Wild as Minnesota hosts Vegas.
Pulls up, looking for a little daylight. William Karlsson back to Neal in the give and go. Loose puck down low. Marchessault put it towards the net, and Neal scores! James Neal in the backhand, his 11th of the season, and the Golden Knights have the lead.
The puck drops at 8 Eastern. Now at home or on the go, never miss a game live on TuneIn Premium. That's your TuneIn NHL update.
And now, a page from the diary of Flo.
Dear Diary, the ghost is back. This house is protected through Progressive, but that doesn't mean it's not haunted. How else would you explain that radiator-like clanking sound? Or the moon-colored light in the hallway that's gone by morning? Maybe he never bundled home and auto, and he's doomed to suffer an eternity without the savings.
Save an average of 17% on car insurance when you bundle home and auto through Progressive.
What was that wind-like sound? Oh, right, the wind.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
It's hard to pick out the perfect gift, but all too easy to get it totally wrong. Introducing mancrates.com, the surest way to find awesome gifts guys will love, guaranteed. This isn't a lame cheese of the month club or a new tie. Man Crates offers gift collections for every type of guy, from the family man to the sports fanatic and everything in between. Like the Grill Master crate with a brass knuckle meat tenderizer and a cast iron smoker box. Just go to mancrates.com, pick the perfect crate, and choose your delivery date. When his Man Crate arrives, he'll be the envy of every guy in the room as he pries that bad boy open with his own laser engraved crowbar. They have thousands of 5-star reviews, and every Man Crate comes with their high five guarantee. Own the holidays. Go to mancrates.com/ESPN for 5% off your order. They don't offer a discount anywhere else. 5% off at mancrates.com/ESPN for the best deal on an awesome gift. mancrates.com/ESPN.
It's time for your first chance to react to tonight's Lakers game. Lakers basketball is a final tonight at Staples. This is the Land Rover postgame show, recapping what went down tonight against the champs. Lakers-Warriors is a final on ESPN LA 710 and the ESPN app.
Your Southern California Land Rover retailers. Visit them for special lease and finance offers. Land Rover, above and beyond.
How did the battle with the champs go for Lonzo and the Lakers? What's ahead for Saturday night in Denver? And your reaction, 877-710-ESPN. The Land Rover postgame show. Tips off now. Here's Travis Rogers and Andy Kamenetsky.
127 to 123 is the final score. The Lakers lose to the Warriors. If you'd like to get in and talk about the game tonight, 877-710-ESPN, 877-710-3776. And I agree with you. There's no such thing as a moral victory or any of those sorts of things. Not when guys collect checks for playing these games. But this was a game that if you're a Laker fan, you watch, you're like, okay, I see something there. You see Brandon Ingram. You saw about 5 or 6 minutes of Lonzo Ball in the third quarter that was incredibly exciting. They both look fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, this is also, too, this is a game that the players themselves, they can build confidence off. They can remind themselves of what they're capable of when they're really focused and they take care of the details. But also, from a 3,000-mile viewpoint, these are the type of games that can potentially make them look attractive this offseason, win or lose.
Brandon Ingram was as good as I've seen him, and he had a career-high 32, and I'm not just talking about the fact that he had 32 points, which is great. It was the way that he scored, going to the rim. He was able to make shots from the perimeter. He was good from the foul line. He was good from the three-point line. And the physicality that always seemed to give him a lot of trouble last year seems to be becoming less and less of an issue. He's still an incredibly thin guy, but the contact that used to send him flying doesn't quite have the same effect anymore.
Yeah, he's getting stronger. I think he's learning how to angle his body better so he doesn't take all that physicality full on. And he's just more confident now. And you can see that length that he has, which is absolutely insane. I mean, for people who've never seen Brandon Ingram up close, you and I both have a zillion times.
Yeah.
That the length of his arms and legs is something you don't get used to. I mean, like in its own right, it's like the length version of Yao Ming or Shaq's size.
Yeah.
And the strides that Ingram is capable of making now to the basket and his ability to shield the ball and then all of a sudden extended outward like basically the ball's on an escalator. He's becoming really, really good at using that until he figures out, okay, how do I get, from more consistent from 20 feet out? How do I become more consistent from three-point range? This is a weapon he can keep using.
It's almost like a light just went off for him with that because it was, 2.5, 3, 4 weeks ago where all of a sudden what you're describing became a regular occurrence. You would see it in a moment last season. You would see it in a game. You wouldn't see it for 2 or 3 more games. You'd see another transition or two where it would happen, and now you're seeing it 6, 7, 8, 10 times a game.
Well,
on both ends, offensively and defensively.
It's funny. My daughter is 6.5, and she recently learned how to ride her bike, and it was funny because, like, in the beginning, she was struggling with confidence. She would have me hold the handlebars the whole time. Conceptually, she understood it, but it still wasn't something she was comfortable with. Then all of a sudden, she was just riding. Yeah. And she was just riding around this huge parking lot that we practice in. And then before I knew it, she's like weaving around, doing like figure eights. I mean, she's riding all over the place. And it just sort of clicks. And then once you click, the cliche about, it's like riding a bike. You never forget how. Ingram seems to have figured out how to get to the basket and take that physicality, and you don't forget how once you know how to do it.
Let's try our first phone call of the night. We'll go to Anaheim and Frank. Frank, you're on the Land Rover postgame show. What's going on?
How's it going? Yeah, I think it was, as a fan, I was pleased to see this tonight. I think earlier in the day, I remember hearing John Arden say that the Lakers kind of played to their opponent's level. I definitely saw that tonight, but hopefully we can sustain this through the next few games. And I think we're definitely getting our money's worth out of KCP, so really happy to see that. And Ingram had an awesome game, so I guess like you said, no more victories, guys. Let's try to build on this one.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. Appreciate the phone call. KCP's an interesting guy because he plays with a tremendous amount of energy. He plays hard every night. And when he's hot, it's really fun to watch him because he gets hot and he's able to fill it up pretty quickly. But to your point, there are times where he goes from hot to cold, only he hasn't realized it's gone back to cold.
Well, he's streaky. I mean, if you look at his splits over the course of his career, his field goal percentage, his three-point percentage can go all over the place. But there are times where he can really contribute on that. And in either way, he plays so hard that I think it becomes infectious among his teammates, and it can also probably just become a pain in the ass against anybody he's playing against.
Let's try another one. Let's try Long Beach this time. And Robert, you are on the Land Rover postgame show. What's new?
Hey, how's it going, fellas?
Good. Right.
I've noticed tonight something I didn't notice really about Alonzo Ball. I'm not worried about a shot like most people. It'll come. He's got a terrible form, but even bad forms can make baskets if you keep working at it. But the one thing that I'm worried about tonight is Lonzo Ball's footwork, him being pigeon-toed. And when he's running in a straight line on a fast break, he's fine. But in the half court, off the dribble, his footwork is horrible, man. And his father repeatedly says Kobe Bryant can't show his son nothing. If he sees something in practice, maybe he can point things out. But, man, he didn't work on Lonzo's footwork his whole career. His footwork is horrible off the dribble in the half court. He can't break anybody down without a pick, man.
Well, I mean, thanks for the call, Robbie. You raise a great point. If there's ever one thing that Lonzo could work on with Kobe, it's footwork.
Yeah.
And in particular, like Robert was saying, footwork in the post. Forget just among guards. Kobe
one of the best ever.
He had some of the best footwork I've ever seen for any player, any position, period. And what speaks to what made Kobe so great as a player, probably Kobe's 14th year in the league, something like that, he sought out footwork lessons from Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah,
Olajuwon maybe had the best.
He was decent.
Right.
Yeah.
Olajuwon maybe had the best footwork of anyone ever. Kobe's was already phenomenal anyway, but he wanted to make it better, and he sought out Olajuwon, spent an entire summer working on it. If there is one thing that maybe Lonzo would want to bend Kobe's ear on, it would be that footwork.
All right, the McDonald's Defensive Play of the Game is brought to you by McDonald's. Get McDelivery now on the Uber Eats app. Delivery prices may be higher than at restaurants, and booking fee applies. The Defensive Play of the Game.
Nick Young's got it. Give it to Jordan Bell, and here's Steph with the ball. Steph throws it away. Stolen by Lonzo. Lonzo ahead to Randall. Randall, look out. Down the middle, lay it up and in. Randall's got 4 points in about 15 seconds. 23-16.
Lonzo Ball with the defensive play of the night. More of your phone calls coming up. 877-710-ESPN. 877-710-3776. That's next on the Land Rover Postgame Show on ESPN LA.
In a scary movie, the last place you want to be is on a long, desolate road, at a campground near a lake, or a log cabin deep in the woods. But in a RAV4 Adventure Grade, there's no place you won't want to explore. With available dynamic torque control all-wheel drive, 18-inch 5-spoke black alloy wheels, and a 120-volt power outlet in the cargo area, you'll be ready for just about any adventure. So confidently go places you haven't gone before in the Toyota RAV4 Adventure Grade. Toyota. Let's go places.
Getting a good night's sleep is easier said than done, especially if you hear a noise downstairs. You could sleep with one eye open, or you can rest easy, knowing that your home and family are protected with SimpliSafe. Each SimpliSafe system is a complete security arsenal, with motion sensors, glass break sensors, entry sensors, and a high-definition security camera. You'll have everything you need to keep your family safe. Order SimpliSafe online in minutes. Have it on your doorstep this week and set it up in under an hour. No tools, no hardwiring. Just open the box, plug it in, and you'll be protected with professional home security. With SimpliSafe, there are no contracts, no hidden fees, and 24/7 professional monitoring is just $14.99 a month. Get SimpliSafe and get some rest. Go to SimpliSafeMike.com and get a special 10% discount when you order today. That's SimpliSafeMike.com for 10% off your order. SimpliSafeMike.com.
So this house is in a great neighborhood and walking distance from one of the best schools.
And what are they asking?
The asking price is only 24 years of really, really hard work. Wow, that sounds like a lot. Well, the house across the road just sold for a few years more.
While other insurance companies just see a house, we see the home you've worked really hard for. So why not give it the protection it deserves?
Tell you what, why don't we offer 23 years with a fast close? We're going to need to sleep on it.
Yeah. State Farm. Call an agent today.
This is the Land Rover Postgame Show. Highlights from tonight's Lakers game and your reaction on the Lakers line.
Hi, this is Luke Walton on ESPN LA 710 and the ESPN app.
The Land Rover Postgame Show.
Your Southern California Land Rover retailers. Visit them for special lease and finance offers. Land Rover, above and beyond.
Travis Rogers and Andy Kamenetsky.
127 to 123 is the final score. The Lakers lose to the Warriors in overtime. Great game at Staples Center tonight. A lot of fun to watch. More of your phone calls coming up in just a couple of seconds. But first, it's time for the Universal Studios Hollywood Star of the Game, presented by Universal Studios Hollywood. Spend Christmas at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, November 24th through January 7th, only at Universal Studios Hollywood. Tonight's Star of the Game, an easy one, Brandon Ingram with a career-high 32 points.
Here's Durant, top of the key, gets the ball, gets away from Jordan Bell, dribbles down the middle, pulls up, 10-footer good. This is the Brandon Ingram Laker fans have been hoping for. He has 24 points, or make it 22 points, on 10 of 14 shooting.
Finished with a career-best 32. Let's try another one. Let's go to Los Angeles and Mike. Mike, you're on the Land Rover Postgame Show. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, fellas? Coming back from the game, talking Brandon Ingram, man. Just really impressive, man. This guy has a skill set and tools to be one of the top 10 players in the game. And going up against KD, who's probably the second best player in the league, and he really outplayed him for the majority of this game. So I would love to see him be more consistent, which I know is a major issue with younger players in the league. But I think he can take that next step. But what do you think, guys, going toe-to-toe with the defending champs and probably best team in the league? Can the Lakers build on this momentum going forward and take this throughout the rest of the season? I want to get your thoughts on that. Thanks.
Thanks,
great
Mike.
game tonight, and I love the way my boys fought out there tonight. Thanks.
Yeah, you got it, Mike. Thank
Take
you.
the answer off the air.
Yeah, yeah, you forgot that part. Look, as far as building on it, the Lakers have shown very clearly that they don't build on things. They have. They'll have a game where they look great, and then they'll turn around, and it's like, where'd that go?
Well, it's interesting, though, because over the last few weeks, there had been a tendency of these guys, and this is an amazing thing to say about a sub-500 team, that they were playing down to the level of competition.
Right.
We saw them lose to the Kings, lose to the Suns, should have lost to the Bulls. I mean, the only reason they
down by 19 in the third quarter.
Yeah, the only reason they didn't is because the Bulls
the
are
Bulls.
just that bad. But they've tended to play well against good opponents, win or lose. And December is all good opponents. So, I mean, until you get to the 29th, or I guess the 27th in Memphis and the 29th in the Clippers, all their other games are against either good teams or teams that are good at home while the Lakers are on the road. So they may build on it, not necessarily in the win column, but just in the overall quality of play.
I certainly hope so. I would love to see some sort of consistency from them. And that's another thing that Mike mentioned, and I think it's incredibly important because every guy in this league, let me rephrase, most of the guys in this league are talented enough to, at moments, look like, holy smoke, who's that guy? When we saw the guy from Chicago that you mentioned, the Bulls, that went bananas for a few minutes. He was absolutely
I've already forgotten his name.
I'll have to look it up. But he's a guy that you and I are both like, who is that guy?
I literally had never heard of him. I did not know he walked the earth until that game.
He went off.
Blakeney.
It's let's see here. It's Antonio Blakeney.
I was about to say Art Blakeney, and then I realized I was thinking of Art Blakey, the drummer.
Yeah, Antonio Blakeney had a game. And so they're talented, but what makes great players is not that they go off, it's that they're always really, really good. And that LeBron's bad game, there's nothing bad about it. KD's bad game, there's nothing bad about it. And then they pop for 40 or 45.
Or look, I mean,
it's consistency.
LeBron or Durant or Kobe, they may have bad games, but you never stop fearing them even when they're having a bad game.
Steph Curry tonight.
Yeah.
And that's what none of these Lakers have really shown yet, is that ability to put together not 2 or 3 or 4 or 10, but put together 25 or 30 games where you're like, you got to make sure you have to be aware of this person at all times. Hopefully, Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle are starting to become those guys.
Yeah, I mean, Randle this season's just been consistently really good. I think in some ways his biggest limiting factor is his minutes. I mean, sometimes it's like, look, I can't cram any more production into the amount of playing time that Luke Walton's giving me if you're Randle. But as far as Ingram goes, I really do think it's worth pointing out again, last year there was a lot of nervous hand-wringing about Brandon Ingram. And, we had to spend a lot of time reminding people he's a rookie, he's growing into his body, give it a minute.
He's still only 20.
Yeah, he's still growing into his body. He's only a month older than Lonzo.
San Diego and Aiden. Aiden, you're up next on the Land Rover Postgame Show. What's going on?
How's it going? I just wanted to piggyback on a couple of callers ago. He was complaining about Lonzo's footwork, and I understand that, but I think part of the reason for the lack of footwork is because his shot is so backwards. And I think that, because his shot is, behind, unorthodox, it kind of affects his footwork in that sense.
Oh, it's a little unorthodox, yeah.
Yeah, right. And then also one more thing, because I noticed, also he played well tonight, obviously. Lonzo, all the young guys played well. But I noticed against Steph and KD a couple times, he would, dribble, have a nice move, and then have an open shot and just not take it. He would, just keep dribbling until he dribbled back into their defense and then have to dish it out. And I think that if he had a couple really nice moves, he just learned to shoot it when he's open. I think that's a big thing as well.
Yeah, thanks, Aiden. I appreciate it. I think he's right. Lonzo is clearly, even though tonight he shot the ball better, was he 5 of 12 overall and 3 of 7 from behind the three-point line? There's still clearly that half a second, quarter second where it's should I or shouldn't I? And if you're thinking like that, you're in deep trouble. It has to be, I'm open, let it go.
Yeah, and actually, I think a few callers tonight have pointed out correctly, there are a lot of fundamentals with Lonzo that it wouldn't surprise me at all. I'd actually be pretty disappointed if they didn't spend a lot of the offseason working on that. Like, you see him at times get to the rack, and he'll make an odd decision on how he tries to go about the layup, and like the fundamentals with his shot is off, like, and not just the stroke itself, but his legs, like his feet will be in weird, like he does a lot of odd things physically on the court. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I've watched enough basketball. I can see.
You can see it when it's not what everyone else is doing.
Right. I mean, it's not like Manu Ginobili, who's always been a physically odd player, but is in complete control of those physical oddities. With Lonzo, it's just sort of all over the place.
I'm not going to do it. I've made a deal with myself where I'm not going to talk about LeVar Ball, so I'm not going to do it right now. But
I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking.
I'm going to do it on the other side.
Yes!
Do it on the other side. That's coming up next on the Land Rover Postgame Show on ESPN LA.
Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's Employee of the Month, 2 months in a row. Leave a message at the... Hi, Jamie. It's me, Jamie. I just had a new idea for our song about the Name Your Price tool. So when it's like, tell us what you want to pay, hey, 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 and the trombone goes, blah, 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 and you say, we'll help you find coverage options to fit your budget. Then we just all do finger snaps while the choir goes, savings coming at ya, savings coming at ya. Yes? No? Maybe? Anyway, see your practice tonight. I got new lyrics for the rap break.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Napa know-how.
Keeping it simple is usually a good thing. And when it comes to rewards programs, keeping it simple is always a good thing. That's why we made the Napa Rewards program effortless. All you need is your phone number to start saving on the parts and tools you need. Then we automatically give you $5 off your next purchase for every 100 you spend. So start saving today with Napa Rewards. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
And we're back in studio with Oregon's mascot, the Duck. So what was it like to star in this season's Nissan Heisman House? And how was it to work alongside current NFL star and Oregon Heisman winner Marcus Mariota?
Well, what's the deal with this guy? He's usually pretty animated.
We'll be right back with more from Oregon's The Duck. Visit NissanHeismanHouse.com for more. And while you're there, vote for this year's Heisman winner.
Rover postgame show. Highlights from tonight's Lakers game and your reaction on the Lakers line.
Hey, it's Lonzo Ball on ESPN, LA 710. Come along for the ride. It's Lakers basketball.
The Land Rover postgame show.
Your Southern California Land Rover retailers. Visit them for special lease and finance offers. Land Rover, above and beyond.
Once again, Travis Rogers and Andy Kamenetsky.
Lakers go down in overtime, 127 to 103. They are now 8-13 on the season. Next game coming up Saturday against the Nuggets in Denver. The block of the game is brought to you by Ritz Plumbing. The next time your pipes are all blocked and backed up, the only place to use is family-owned Ritz Plumbing. In business for over 85 years. RitzPlumbing.com. The block of the night, Julius Randle.
And down to Kevon Looney right in front of the rim. He went up to dunk it. The Lakers block it. Clarkson saves it. Gets it ahead to Caldwell Pope. Great defense by the Lakers. KCP runner, good. Kevon Looney tried to dunk it. The Lakers blocked it at the rim. It was Randle with the block, and it led to a fast break and two on the other end for L.A.
Julius Randle with the block of the night. So, one of the things that is frustrating, like we've had a couple of callers talk about Lonzo's mechanics. One person talking about his footwork, another person talking about him trying to set up and go to the rim, and then obviously his shot is something that we've discussed ad nauseum. For somebody that claims to be a basketball genius when it comes to training his children, LeVar sure let a lot of really basic fundamental things slip through the cracks.
It's easy when you don't have to have them. I mean, when Lonzo is naturally talented enough and also big and strong enough to be the best player on the court no matter what you do, and also, there's certain things Lonzo has inherently. He has great court vision.
Yep.
I mean, you can see watching Lonzo play that he can read a floor exceptionally well for anyone, much less a rookie. But there are other things that he does physically that, quite frankly, are pretty jacked up.
Yeah.
And like you said, Travis, you wonder where was LeVar during this and what was the influence of LeVar? Is LeVar the reason for some of these odd mechanics?
And the fact that, look, Lonzo has played for people that aren't his father, but if something displeased the father, the coach wouldn't be around for very long.
I mean, it's unusual to see a high school have a coaching carousel, but Chino Hills has had a coaching carousel.
They have. Brian Kamenetsky joining us here in studio as well. And Brian, we spent a lot of the night talking about Brandon Ingram's performance and just how fantastic he was, and that was, for lack of a better phrase, kind of a coming out party, especially with Kevin Durant on the other end of the floor.
It was. Tonight you really got an idea of why people make the comparisons beyond simply the fact that B.I. is tall and skinny. Right. It's, the way that both of these guys use their length. And, obviously Kevin Durant has had more time and experience to develop the full skill set. But you see what Ingram is really focused on doing this year, which is getting to the basket. And he's not the fastest guy in the league, and he's not incredibly strong and whatever, but he's so freakishly long that he can get where he wants to go and finish, and he's learned how to take contact and do all these other things. And he's kind of perfecting that art. And now you start to think, well, what happens when he can pull up from 15 like KD does? And what happens if the three becomes a weapon like it did for KD? It's not, you don't have to squint anymore to see where the potential is, the end potential is for Ingram now.
So one of the things that I was struck by watching the way that the Warriors play in the half court. And it's not a fair comparison to compare the Warriors to the Lakers because the Warriors have so much offensive firepower that they're going to get a lot of good shots just because of how talented they are. But you see them move the ball. You see guys cutting and moving and doing things other than just having four guys laced around the three-point line. And then you watch the Lakers, and what's tonight? Tonight was the 21st game of the season. I still couldn't tell you the last time the Lakers got an easy look out of a play that they had in the half court.
No, it's very clear that they have not spent nearly as much time working on their half court offense, or if they have really implementing it, as they have trying to work with the offense that they want to run with Lonzo. I mean, like, everything has been centered around Lonzo and the idea of playing to his strengths, and his strengths are in transition. And this whole team is pretty lost when they're in that half court, and they just don't seem to know what they want to do with themselves.
They have 4 guys behind the three-point line. They'll do a high screen at around the top of the key, and if something's not there, somebody jacks up a shot.
Yeah, they're like people who really want to listen to KSP in Los Angeles and don't have a radio. Like they have no access to a radio.
They're nothing at all like that.
Yeah, that's absolutely what they are.
I respect the effort
there, but I don't. Do I really need to explain this?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, please.
When you're trying to run a half-court offense, and you don't know how to do it, you're lost. If you're trying to listen to KSP in Los Angeles for a second time and don't have a radio, you're lost.
You're also lost.
Yes.
If they don't have a radio, they couldn't have heard what the well-crafted, station ID there.
Actually, if I may, you're the one who got this wrong. I wasn't talking about you mixed metaphors.
Not to take this far afield. I just think I think part of it is the skill set that guys have on offense on this team doesn't lend itself to what I think what they eventually want to run. And they don't want the ball in Lonzo's hands, in the same way that like CP3 runs it, in a little bit when he was with the Clippers, where he's just got the ball. He's an incredibly high usage guy, whatever. They want the ball to be moving or whatever. But part of what makes Golden State so dangerous, part of what makes Houston so dangerous, all is because they have that perimeter shooting. And so the Lakers, really their most effective way of scoring is either in a Julius Randle pick and roll, points per possession very high with that, and then isolation. Like Jordan Clarkson is very effective in isolation, and Randall in the block has been very effective in isolation. Ingram statistically is very effective in isolation. So that
So we have a pick and roll and 3 ISO plays.
Pretty much, and they're kind of caught in that space where the personnel doesn't completely match, I think, what Luke would be doing if he really could.
127 to 103 is, why do I keep saying 103? 127 to 123 in overtime. Maybe it's the O that's throwing me off.
Hard, by the way, to have a 127-103 game that went to overtime.
It would be unusual. That would be unusual.
And it would be really hard, like if you didn't have a radio, to be able to hear and understand.
I'm pretending I didn't hear that. 127.
It's not complicated.
23. Lakers lose in overtime. We're back with more on the Land Rover Postgame Show on ESPN LA.
Man.
I'm back. That little voice inside your head. I know you're busy taking care of business and all, but seriously, you need to know about all the Cyber Week deals at Office Depot Office Max. All week long, get up to 60% off select furniture and seating, and 50% off a wireless Epson printer, just $49.99. Plus, even more Cyber Week deals at OfficeDepot.com. Go ahead, you deserve it. Office Depot, Office Max.
Taking care of business.
Offers end 12/2, while supplies last.
Wendy's Double Stack is back in the 4-for-4 with a quarter-pound of fresh, never-frozen beef, which means you can get the Double Stack, the Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, or the Crispy Chicken BLT, along with 4 nuggets, small fries, and a small drink, all for just $4. And it's only around for a limited time, so you better hurry and get to Wendy's today. That's a deal so good, it can't be beat. No, I said beat, not beep.
Sorry, man. Not valid in Alaska and Hawaii. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S. and Canada.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I'm so happy, I feel like I can fly.
Disclaimer, you will not be able to fly by switching to Geico. This is against the laws of physics and nature. If you find yourself flying, please seek professional and or medical help immediately. In the unlikely event you find yourself flying, you might be a superhero, or a pigeon, or a superhero named Pidgewoman, who was bitten by a radioactive pigeon. If you are indeed Pidgewoman, Geico retains all licensing publishing rights in the event Pidgewoman the movie becomes a top-grossing Hollywood blockbuster.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Are we ready to open next month?
I think so.
You think so?
Well, it's complicated. Fire protection, first aid supplies, uniforms, safety training, mat services, and restroom supplies.
So uncomplicated. Call Cintas. They'll handle all of it.
Wow. One company can handle all that? That's not very complicated.
So, you'll be ready?
Oh, we'll be ready.
Oh, I'm ready!
Learn how Cintas can help you get ready for the workday. Visit Cintas.com.
This is the Land Rover Postgame Show. Highlights from tonight's Lakers game and your reaction on the Lakers line.
Hi, this is Luke Walton on ESPN LA 710 and the ESPN app.
The Land Rover postgame show.
Your Southern California Land Rover retailers. Visit them for special lease and finance offers. Land Rover, above and beyond.
Travis Rogers and Andy Kamenetsky.
127 to 103. I did it again. 123 in overtime. The Lakers lost by 4. I'm going to go with that. The Lakers lost by 4 in overtime. Steph Curry, the Warriors scored 18 points in overtime. Curry had 13 of the 18 in overtime. It was just a matter of time before he finally found the range.
He is, as it turns out, good at basketball.
He is.
The Lakers caught a few breaks. There were opportunities for him to hit threes where you just sit there and go, there's no way this will continue. Wide open looks and all that where the Lakers miss a rotation, whatever it might be. And you knew at some point it was going to come back and get him.
And it did in overtime. 13 of the Warriors, 18 points in overtime. All right. The Drive of the Game is brought to you by LA Car Guy. Check out monthly specials and browse the inventory of all 11 LA Car Guy dealerships on one website, lacarguy.com. The Drive of the Game, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
Lakers have 10 seconds to shoot. Under a minute to go. Caldwell-Pope down the middle. Runner. It's good. And a foul. Caldwell-Pope puts the Lakers up 2, and he's got a chance to put them up 3. 18 in the game for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and no one at Staples Center is sitting.
All right, so for the sake of this argument, let's assume that it's not the nightlife in the city of Los Angeles. Why do the Lakers play the Warriors so well here in Staples Center? Because they did it again tonight. They didn't win the game, but they gave them a game that went into overtime, and they did it without their leading scorer in Kyle Kuzma. Why?
Well, I mean, Andy, I think you can tell me if you disagree. I think part of it is the Lakers as a group, and Luke Walton talked about this with Ingram, and I'm sure it applies to other players. They clearly focus more. They get up more. They elevate for this particular game, this particular challenge. And then, the Warriors don't. You look at the way they were throwing the ball around in the first half, and they're a high turnover team, but this was really absurd, the carelessness with which they were treating the basketball. And then I think they thought that they could just, all we need is 6 minutes at the end to kind of push through. And I think that's how they come here every year. And I don't blame them, but they're wrong because the Lakers are good enough that if you don't play, they can get you.
First of all, let's not discount that nightlife altogether.
Okay. I was told in the setup of the question that I had to.
Right, but I'm just saying it's important to point out it is one of the great advantages LA has. It's also important to remember, too.
Vegas basketball team go 41-0 at home.
The Golden Knights are pretty darn good.
Yes, they are. All those Canadians. Yeah. Look at all this gambling, eh?
And location.
That's
but
right.
It's also important to remember when you are the defending champions, you get everybody's best shot. When the Lakers were champions in 2009, 2010, the three-peat years, everybody got geeked to play them. And the Warriors are experiencing that now. You want to give that team a great game. And if you happen to upset the Warriors, people are going to notice. And this is a team that's looking to get noticed.
Do you think the NBA puts a team in Vegas before too long?
I don't know which team. I think Adam Silver is probably the most progressive commissioner.
The NHL expanded. They just added a team.
And the NBA isn't in a position to do that mathematically. It doesn't work. But, Adam Silver is the most progressive, I think, commissioner in sports when it comes to the issue of gambling. I don't think the gambling part of it would keep a team out of there.
The cultural acceptance of that has changed dramatically in a relatively short period of time.
I don't know, is Vegas ahead of Seattle in the line? They have an arena there that's beautiful.
Yeah.
They certainly, I think, have the financial infrastructure to make something work there. I don't know if it's top on the list, but, it's passed up the Kansas Cities of the world, which used to be thrown out there as an option.
I'm looking at you, Grizzlies.
Yeah.
For real, they're a franchise that has always had a difficult time sustaining themselves in that city. Nothing against Memphis. It's supposed to be...
it'd be sort of a tragedy, though.
It's supposed to... I've never been, but people I know who've been to Memphis a lot love it. I know it's got a lot of culture. It has great food, blues, all that stuff.
You can visit. You don't need to stay.
The bottom line is if you can't make a franchise sustain itself, you can't force it into happening.
Yeah.
David Stern, to his creditors' detriment, depending on how you look at it, spent an awful lot of time trying to make the NBA in New Orleans happen, when in the meantime, Seattle is like, hey, over here,
yeah,
we've shown we can do it. We deserve a team.
It feels inevitable almost, whether it's a relocated team or an expansion team, because we have a NHL team. The Raiders are presumably on the way. I'll believe it when I see it, but it feels like it's just a matter of time.
I think it'll be fun. The NBA is so perfectly suited for that town. It'll work out well.
127 to 123 was the final score from Staples Center tonight. The Lakers
year of our Lord
in overtime to the Warriors. They're back at it again on Saturday night. They'll be in Denver to take on the Nuggets. For Andy and Brian Kamenetsky, I'm Travis Rogers, and this has been the Land Rover Postgame Show on ESPN LA.
You've been listening to tonight's Land Rover Postgame Show.
Your Southern California Land Rover retailers. Visit them for special lease and finance offers. Land Rover, above and beyond.
Lakers basketball, presented by
Pizza Hut. Get a large 2-topping pizza with pizza delivered for just $7.99 when you order online. Only at Pizza Hut. Gardens Casino, featuring 220 flat-screen TVs, 24 California craft beers on tap, and an upscale bar and lounge with handcrafted cocktails. Located off the 605 and Carson Street. Please play responsibly. The Gardens Casino, best play in L.A.
In-N-Out Burger. That's what a hamburger's all about.
Universal Studios Hollywood. Spend Christmas at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, November 24th through January 7th. Only at Universal Studios Hollywood. LA Car Guide. LA Car Guide. Check out monthly specials and browse the inventory of all 11 LA Car Guide dealerships in one website. LACarGuide.com.
Get closer to Lakers basketball right here. The Lakers play here. ESPN LA 710 and the ESPN app. You have been listening to a special play-by-play presentation on 710 ESPN Los Angeles. Now it's time to get you up to speed on the biggest stories in the sports world. We rejoin our regularly scheduled program already in progress.
Not to say it, but ESPN insider Adam Schefter says the door is indeed closing on the Manning era.
Yesterday was the official start of the end of Eli Manning's time with the New York Giants. Everybody can see that. We don't know who the head coach is going to be. We don't know who the general manager is going to be. But we can say right now that it certainly looks like Eli Manning is being ushered out the door. If you're going to bench somebody in week 12 of the season, certainly you have no attachment to that particular player, and he doesn't deserve to finish his career on a floundering franchise at this point in time. He should be allowed to go where he wants at this point in time. There's a team in Jacksonville that certainly could use him more than the Giants could at this point in time. There's a team in Arizona that might be in need of a quarterback, and there's a team in Miami where Adam Gase has a strong connection to Peyton Manning that would make an awful lot of sense as well. But when the Giants benched Eli Manning yesterday, they sent the message that they were ready to move on from him, and it looks like Eli Manning now will be part of a off-season quarterback class that could include Drew Brees, Kirk Cousins, Jimmy Garoppolo, Case Keenum, Teddy Bridgewater, Alex Smith. A lot of quarterback intrigue this upcoming offseason.
Eli Manning, meanwhile, landed in New York as the result of some rather contentious moments leading up to and at the 2004 NFL Draft. Manning was drafted by the Chargers, but his camp had been telling the team all along that Eli would not play for the Chargers, and in